What's up, everybody? Carolina Jackpot coming at you September 16th, 2018. We're wrapping up week number 3 of the college football season with my little series, the 5 biggest winners and the 5 biggest losers from last week's college football action. Let's take a look at the 5 biggest losers from last week. Number 1, Ole Miss, the Rebels, got beat last night in epic proportion, 62-7. by the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. I know it's Alabama. Everybody gets beat up by them. I get that. I understand that. But this was an SEC matchup. First conference matchup of the year for both teams. And people were looking for a little bit more than that from you. You know, the spread was like 21, 22 points. A lot of people thought y'all would cover that spread. A lot of people thought y'all would show up to actually play. And some of y'all actually gave them a chance to win. Not a chance. If it weren't for a broken play on the first play from scrimmage in the game, you would have gotten shut out. Jordan Tamu gets shut down. Your NFL wide receivers, A.J. Brown, the Lodge kid, the other guy whose name escapes me, all of them ineffective against Alabama. Tua and company take you to the woodshed. 2 interceptions, just a big, swift kick right in the you-know-what. Ole Miss goes down. They are a huge loser and a huge disappointment in week number 3. Second biggest loser of the day, Nebraska. How in the world do you start 0-2 for the first time since 1957 at Nebraska? You started 0-2 for the first time since Leave It to Beaver, for the first time since the Addams Family black and white TV, and Happy Days. Yeah, that was bad. And you lost to Troy. I get it. Troy is a decent Power 5, not Power 5, what do they call, Group of 5 team from the Sun Belt Conference. They're probably one of the best teams in the Sun Belt Conference, but it's the Sun Belt Conference, and you're in Nebraska. And I get it that your starting quarterback was hurt. None of that matters. You should not have dropped one. You should not have laid an egg at home against Troy. You just shouldn't have done it. Scott Frost, what are you doing with those guys? Another big loser, Nebraska. Another big loser and a big disappointment on the day, Boise State. You guys, 44-21 loss on the road at Oklahoma State. This was like a really, really tight spread on this game. I picked y'all to cover that spread. I thought y'all would actually win that game. I really did. I had a lot of confidence in you. But then I got to start watching some of these other folks who picked these games. Some of these Vegas folks were talking about how Chris Peterson used to win games against Power 5 teams when he was at Boise State, but this cat you got out there right now really hadn't. And once again, that proved to be the case. Brett Rippon and company, he gets sacked 7 times. Oklahoma State just takes you out of the woodshed. Taylor Cornelius picks up right where Mason Rudolph left off and just pounds you guys. Back to the drawing board for Boise State, and not going to be no playoff for you, and probably no New Year's Six Bowl for you either. Boise State, big loser. Another big loser on the day, Northwestern. How do you lose 39-34 at home to Akron? How do you lose to them? I'll tell you how. You throw 2 interceptions. Clayton Thorson, what are you doing? Throws for 383 yards. He throws 2 interceptions. That's absolutely terrible. That's abysmal. You have no business losing at home to Akron. I get it that one of these MAC teams sneaks up and bites a Big Ten team in the butt every now and again, but it should be like biting Illinois in the butt or Indiana or somebody on that level. Not y'all. Northwestern, the purple is a little bit better than that. You shouldn't be losing to Akron. In fact, you shouldn't even be playing competitive games with Akron. Go back to the drawing board. And USC, the Trojans, 37-14 loss on the road at Texas. You know, at the beginning of the season, maybe even the off-season, people thought, this has got to feel one of those classic matchups. You're thinking about Vince Young and Reggie Bush, Lindale White, Matt Leinart, all those guys. No, it's not none of that anymore, okay? It wasn't anywhere close to that. But you shouldn't have went on the road and lost by 23 points to them. They lost to Maryland in the first game of the season. We're crying out loud. They lost to Maryland. JT Daniels did a decent job, 30-48, but 0 touchdowns. No touchdowns, and you lose on the road. USC is not a contender in the Pac-12 this year, in my opinion. Not even in the Pac-12 South. And that's the weaker division in the Pac-12. USC, another big loser, big disappointment last night in Austin, Texas. Winners, big winners of the week. Let's talk about something positive here for just a minute. Temple Owls, 35-14 win on the road at Maryland. They were a 16-point underdog. They didn't care. They were 0-2 on the season and had lost to Villanova and Buffalo, two teams best known for ice hockey and basketball. They didn't care. They went on the road against a team that was averaging 293 yards a game rushing, held them to 132. Anthony Rizzo comes off the bench. Anthony Russo, excuse me, said it wrong. Rizzo, whatever. All sound like Chicago Cubs players to me. He came off the bench in place of Frank Newtile, who was injured, and he throws for 228 yards. Raquel Armstead, 118 yards rushing, and they take down the Terrapins, who were undefeated. Great job there by the Temple Owls and Coach Jeff Collins. Second big winner of the day, you got to like this one. Syracuse with the big win, 30-7 at home against Florida State. Man, I'm telling you what, 3 years he's been there, and a lot of people haven't noticed this stat. Dino Babers at Syracuse has beaten 3 teams who have won ACC championships in the last 10 years. 2016, he beats Virginia Tech at home. Last year, he beats Clemson at home. This year, he beats Florida State at home. And not only did they beat them, they just wiped the floor with them. I thought that Syracuse would definitely cover that spread and win that game, but I didn't know they were going to win it 30-7. Come on, how far has Florida State fallen off the map? And is it really that Syracuse is pretty good, or is it that Florida State is that bad? I think it's that Florida State is that bad. But nonetheless, let's take nothing away from Syracuse. They had another backup, Tommy DeVito. We're getting these guys with these soprano-sounding last names. Mr. Russo, Mr. DeVito. Mr. DeVito comes in place of Eric Dungy, who got hurt. Hope he's not out for a long time. Eric Dungy's been getting hurt every single year he's been at Syracuse. He's missed a lot of action. I think it's cost him some wins along the way. They get 4 sacks against Florida State. Not surprising. Florida State's offensive line is hot garbage. Mr. DeVito goes 11 for 16, throws a touchdown pass. Great job there by Syracuse to win at home against Florida State. First time in program history they've beaten Florida State, and they are 3-0 under Dino Babers. Get one more decent win, we might be looking at a potential top 25 candidate. BYU, my next one. Squally Canada. There's a name for you. Squally Canada scores 2 touchdowns yesterday for BYU under Coach and it's his name, Kalane Sataki. I can't even say his name. It's just a big jumble in my mouth. Coach S, okay, we'll call him that. Goes into Camp Randall at Wisconsin, a very tough place to play, and they come out with the victory over the Badgers. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. A lot of people picked them to cover the spread, but I don't think anybody saw them upsetting BYU. They threw a couple of reverses in there, some little misdirection and this and that, kept Wisconsin off kilter all afternoon long, and they win that game. Great job there by BYU, snapping a string that has lasted since 2009 of losses against top 10 teams. And they also snap a streak that Wisconsin held, 41 games in a row, winners over non-conference teams. Not anymore. Both those streaks are over and done with. BYU with the big-time win on the road. North Texas, number 4, goes on the road. Did anybody see the play, the punt return when it was 7-0 North Texas? Keegan Brewer standing back on his own 10-yard line, fields a punt, stands there, holds it for a second, gets on his Facebook, gets over here, Snapchats somebody, eats a little popcorn, drinks a little Diet Pepsi, stands there for a second longer, all of a sudden, boom, he's gone, off to the races. You know they practiced that one. Did they really need it to beat Arkansas, though? No. Why? Mason Fine, 24-45, throws for 1,000,000 yards. This game wasn't even close at all. 44-17, North Texas pounds Arkansas on the road. Arkansas, what is going on there? They throw 6 interceptions yesterday, 6 interceptions between 2 quarterbacks. Why it take 2 quarterbacks to throw 6 interceptions? Just one of them can do a crappy job like that. 6 interceptions, man. That is crazy. Chad Morris, I like the guy. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think that he has the players right now to fit his kind of scheme at Arkansas. He's going to have to totally revamp everything there. Right now, he's just kind of, I think, going through the motions. This is a throwaway season for them. Arkansas is by far the worst team in the SEC, and the margin between them and the number 13 team, it's a lot. It's a lot, okay? Arkansas is in bad shape, at least for this year, but I think they will turn it around. North Texas with a huge win. Last one, Washington, the Huskies. Ranked number 10, they go on the road to Utah. A lot of people were questioning the Washington Huskies after that 21-16 loss in Week 1 to Auburn in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. They come out last night. I think they answered a lot of questions. They held Utah, who has a pretty potent offense, in check almost the entire evening with 21-7 victory in Salt Lake City. The fourth quarter, they had 3 fourth down stops against Utah. 3. That is gritty. That is excellent. Jake Browning, all he does is throw a couple of touchdown passes. Myles Gaskin goes for over 100 yards. He scores also. Washington is a force to be reckoned with. Them and Stanford, those two will match up, and when they butt heads, the winner will take sole possession of that Pac-12 North. That's going to be a good ball game. Those are my winners and losers for week number 3, guys. Feel free to comment in the comment section down below. Type away, and let me know what your thoughts are on that. Carolina Jackpot. I'm getting out of here, and I'll see y'all later. Peace, and I'm out. Spurs up to my toes up, baby. Go Gamecocks, and go Coach Muschamp.